All right, ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 6:05, and welcome to the virtual special town meeting of the Mayor and Town Council of Forsyth Heights, Maryland. This meeting will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hines. Councilmember Kennedy. Councilmember Brownson.
Here.
Councilmember Little.
Present.
Councilmember McDonald. Council President Noble.
Here.
Mayor Lilly.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just a moment. Next, we will have a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we will have approval of the main agenda. I'm noticing on our agenda the public period comes after the item of legislation we have up for discussion, so I move that we amend tonight's agenda, moving public period to before the legislation.
A second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend tonight's agenda, moving public period before legislation. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the ayes have it. I move that we adopt tonight's agenda as amended. Is there a second?
A second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt tonight's agenda as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, hearing none, the ayes have it and the agenda is adopted. At this time, we will now have public period. And this is a time during which members of the public can make a statement or ask a question of the mayor and council. Each individual is given up to 2 minutes to speak, and we ask that you state your name and your street address. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time? Okay, going once, going twice. Public period is now closed. Is there anyone with a hand raised in the chat?
No, sir.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have emergency ordinance number 02-26, which is an emergency ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Forsyth Heights, Maryland, to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2027 budget and authorize its amendment by resolution. I move that we adopt ordinance number emergency ordinance 02-26. Is there a
A
second?
second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt emergency ordinance number 02-26. Discussion. So as part of this special meeting, we scheduled this to allow additional deliberation, questions, and if needed, a summary by each section of the fiscal year 2027 budget as it's proposed. Emergency ordinance number 02-26 incorporates several changes, input from council, and some increases on certain line items where mayor and council have seen fit based on the needs of the town. Is it the body's desire to go through each section and we can see if there are questions for each one? Council President Noble.
Thank you. Just quicker to raise my hand and to try to find this thing. But I know for me, I just have specific questions. I don't know if I do see a hand raised now. So I don't know what order you want to take it. So maybe Councilwoman Brownson may have another suggestion.
Councilmember Brownson.
Yeah, I have a question. I know ordinance 01-26 failed, and we had you allegedly had a hearing for that ordinance. So have you had a hearing for resolution 02-26, a public hearing?
Well, in the charter in section 33-44-45, it states that we have the public hearing for the budget. The proposed budget that we are presenting has similar line items, similar appropriations, and incorporates some increases as allowed by the charter. So the hearing that we had, based on the advice we've gotten, serves as a public hearing for the budget process.
But the budget is different from the budget that was presented to the public on 01-26 ordinance. Am I correct?
There are increases and there could be decreases as the charter states in 33-45. But what I would do is I would defer to Mr. Deloach, who is the attorney on the line.
Good evening. I corresponded with the mayor yesterday, or maybe the day before yesterday, about this issue. The fact of the matter is there was a public hearing. I asked whether or not there was a significant, due to the looming deadline of July the 1st, whether or not there were significant increases and decreases to the extent that it would materially alter the budget. It's my understanding that didn't happen. Okay, so we're under emergency circumstance right now where if we pass this as a regular ordinance, it would go beyond July the 1st. The public hearing that took place on the prior budget submission had substantially similar provisions in it, and the changes in this budget, from my understanding, are not substantially changed. There have been increases. And I also asked the mayor whether or not the increases that were made in this budget was subject to a lot of public debate during the public hearing. I'm not sure that it was. I wasn't there, but due to the exigent circumstances and the fact that the budget hasn't changed much and the public had an opportunity to to comment on that budget, I think this would suffice.
Okay, my question is that was for ordinance 01-26. My question was, have we had a public hearing for ordinance 02-26?
I don't think we have.
Right, and it doesn't specify whether the changes are significance or the deadline is passing. It's specifically that you should have a public hearing for the ordinance of the budget. And this is 02-26, the ordinance for the budget. And we have not had a public hearing.
Council President Noble.
Yes, and this is, well, I don't know who the question is for, the treasurer or Mr. Deloach, but I do see in this emergency ordinance, or did we get a new ordinance? Because I'm looking at the one we got yesterday with the FY26 amended amount and the FY27 draft. So did those total appropriation, did that dollar amount change on that in this ordinance in 02-26?
I think that's for the treasurer.
Hey, Council. Yes, Council President Noble. So there's a revised ordinance in board docs with the changes that we talked about last night.
Thank you.
Also for the record, I'll read the section that is referenced here in this conversation. Section 33-45 states, before adopting the budget, the council shall hold a public hearing thereon after 2 weeks' notice thereof in the Foresight News, the town newsletter, or in some newspaper or newspapers having general circulation within the municipality. The council may insert new items or may increase or decrease the items of the budget. Where the council shall increase the total proposed expenditures, it shall also increase the total anticipated revenues in an amount at least equal to such total proposed expenditures. The budget shall be prepared and adopted in the form of an ordinance. If the council fails to adopt a budget proposed by the mayor by the next fiscal year, the previous year's budget shall go into effect, subject to amendments by the council. And so according to that reading, we have held a public hearing, which was advertised. We have discussed the proposals in the budget. There have been some increases and some decreases as the charter allows in this process. Councilmember McDonald.
Yes, good evening. Do the changes surpass the revenue? Can you
They
hear
do
me?
not.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you hear my response? They do not.
What'd you say, Mr. Frankenfield? They do not.
Correct. They do not.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brownson, is your hand up for a second time?
Yes. After you read that, it goes back to the point I made that the public hearing should be on the resolution. It has not been a public hearing on this ordinance. That's the point I'm making. I know there were small changes here and changes there, but it has not been, the public hearing was on the ordinance that failed, 01-26. This ordinance, with some changes, has not had a public hearing. 02-26 has not had a public hearing.
Here are the options. Okay, the options, since there were not, and I haven't heard anything different, and I can, the treasurer can weigh in on this. I don't know that there were significant changes to the budget. Okay, the purpose of the public hearing is for people to come out and talk about the budget. Okay, and if there weren't significant changes and the changes that were made were not part of substantial public concern or anybody made any comment, it's not unreasonable to go back to that public hearing. But here's the second option. Okay, the second option is to have a public hearing and a special meeting on the same night. You're not going to be able to do the 2 weeks notice because we're under exigent circumstances. Okay, we have the emergency ordinance. Okay, so and with the emergency ordinance, you're foregoing the regular adoption date, effective date. Okay, so it's not unreasonable to have a public hearing that does not have 2 weeks public notice. Right now, if you have 2 weeks public notice, you've gone beyond the budget deadline. So you can either go forward with assuming that public hearing that you had, I'm assuming a few weeks ago, June 1st, whatever, suffices, or you can schedule a public hearing and another special meeting on the same day before the budget deadline so you can have your public hearing. But I don't know if the treasurer wants to weigh in on whether or not there were significant changes to this budget or not.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Deloach. To answer the question directly, there have been no material or significant changes to this budget throughout the process. Tax rates have not changed, revenues have not changed. The town's allocation of what it is going to spend, where the appropriations are directed during the fiscal year, have changed ever so slightly. And in accounting, we talk about immaterial amounts, amounts that are so small they don't change the opinion of an educated user. Those changes have been immaterial for anything that has come out in our budget conversations this fiscal year.
I see a hand raised, but I'm not sure which person is behind that device. Is there a Samsung user?
Sorry, yes. This is Kiafo Hall from 108 Cree. I don't know if I'm
Just a
allowed
moment.
to ask a
Just a
question.
moment. Yeah. So the way that the hearing and public meetings work is once we're in the legislative part of our meeting, we can't have members of the public speak. We
That's
had a
fair.
public period earlier when you would have been able to, but it doesn't seem like you were able to raise your hand then. So we can't have you speak now, but thank you for joining the meeting today.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Brownson.
So I'm back to this public hearing. Even though you might say that the changes were insignificant or not, the public did not get a chance, the opportunity to hear about the changes. That's the purpose of a public hearing. And for me, some of the changes and questions that I have about this budget has not even been addressed yet. I asked some questions and they still have not been addressed. And that's why I thought we were going to have a line by line or group by group or department by department hearing on this budget. So these questions that I have and the public have can be addressed.
Well, that's why we're here tonight. We can do a department by department look. That's why we scheduled the special meeting. Council President.
But the public is not a hearing for them.
For me, for the sake of transparency, that if I know people don't want to have any more meetings, but if for the sake of the public, there is a hearing one day next week, and Mr. Deloach said we can vote on the ordinance then, and at least we have met that part of the for the public for this emergency ordinance 0226. Because last year we didn't have emergency because we were able to vote on it in a timely manner. But that's just my suggestion.
Well, we thank you for your input. We have had significant discussion on this budget since the timeline has been prolonged. We've discussed some of the priorities and some things we think that we're missing. And, tonight's meeting is for us to go through those sections where we have questions and maybe get some answered. So let's start with the police department. I know I'm not going in order, but this is one where I think has more complexity and could have some more questions.
What page is that, Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Councilmember Little.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was asking what page is that?
Just a moment.
Page 30.
Thank you.
Page 30. Thank you, Council President. Were there any questions for public safety expenditures?
Kennedy's hand is up.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Thank you. I don't have a question about that section. I guess I do understand that this has been going on for a minute, but would it hurt us to have a hearing next week? Go through this so that we do have public input, so that way, well, more public input, so that way this can be passed without anyone saying that we did not have it.
Well, how about we do this? We can summarize the changes that have been made, and as a body, we can decide if we feel those have been material or had a significant impact on the budget. A summary of the changes is probably a good place for us to just get a highlight of what the changes were.
But if we do have a quote unquote hearing,
Mhm.
wouldn't it be better to just do it then? So that way, if anybody did not make this one who has questions about the first one, everyone can hear it all at the same time. And, if we post it as a hearing and let's say somebody didn't make it, then at least we did attempt to have a hearing that everyone can make it to. I just don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over and over and over.
Well, I'm not going to answer. I'll let someone else weigh in if there's support for that. I see Councilmember Brownson's hand up.
My question is, instead of, I would like to see some of a clean budget book with some of the changes, with all the changes that were suggested. So everybody have the same budget book from the start. Now I have the budget book, and then he says another one out in board docs, which I don't have. I haven't gotten a copy of. So even though changes were made, we don't know whether the changes add up, whether the line items add up. We haven't had a chance to go over it. Every time you make changes, we have to look back to make sure the changes are accurate according to what we want it to be. So, I mean, just because you said the changes were made and is now up to date, that doesn't say that it's accurate according to what we agreed upon.
Anyone else like to weigh in? It looks like we have the 18th. If there is another meeting to allow comment, one question I have is, when might that be? Councilmember McDonald.
I think what we have to make sure of is that the budget book is complete. If there are issues or people have inquiries or unanswered questions and things of that nature, the budget book has to be complete. And if we have to do a public hearing, then it would be, you know, I guess in order to do it that way. So we can bring this to a close because we're at the 11th hour, really.
Okay, so now the question is, how many days do we need reasonably to have all the incorporated changes, a time for people to look at them, review them? I'm looking to staff for some suggested timelines for what might be reasonable for us to do that and come back at a time if we do another hearing where members have had a chance to adequately review what's in there. And also the members of the public that come would have had a chance to see what we'll be talking about in its final form.
If I may have a follow-up, Mr. Frankenfeld can let us know how long it would take for him to incorporate or, make those changes to the budget book so that it could be ready for the next step.
Yeah,
Mr.
it went out
Frankenfield.
by email this afternoon. So budget book is done. Happy to address any questions. It's in its final format.
Thank you.
Council President.
Yes, I agree with Councilwoman McDonald. Mr. Frankenfield did send out the latest budget in an email. So I guess the process is getting it to make sure each council member has a copy and that it's available in the town hall for any residents who may want to review it. And then we could set a hearing for one day next week and as well as the vote. So
Okay, with the understanding that Councilmember Brownson, I'll go to you.
Yes, I was looking at, he said he only made one change in the budget book, but I have some questions about some of the things that's in the budget book that to me doesn't pan out. And when you started with the police department, that was one question I had. With the 3 new vacancies, there are 2 different amounts for starting salaries. So is that the way it is, or is that a mistake? Questions like that I have. And if it's the way it is, it needs to be explained. And if it's a mistake, the budget book needs to be changed. So I don't know whether it's complete just by saying it's complete. That's why I say we need to know that this stuff is right when you say complete.
Yeah, this is a good place to ask the question.
Yeah. Before we finalize a budget book. You see what I'm talking about, Mr. Frankenfield?
Yeah, it's complete. The chief asked for 2, I'm going to use general terms, rookie officers and 1 more experienced officer. We vetted the staff schedule with the TA. It's complete. It's accurate.
Okay. And then I had another, well, can I ask my questions about the budget book?
Well, so we're going to go, I'll go through each section. You have more for police department? If so, please go ahead.
Okay. What page was that, 30?
That's page 30, yes.
Okay, I think I have one more question for the police department. that was that question. And I noticed that the workman's compensation went up 80%. Anticipate going up 80%. And is there a reason for that?
I think we could have done a better job in fiscal year 26. We get one workman's comp bill, and that's split across all the departments. Workman's comp insurance is the police officers pay 5 times what Mr. Jackson's rate is because of the risk associated with the job. There's a lot of risk being associated with a police officer. The cost didn't go up 60%, but our allocation of the cost of the workman's comp between the 3 departments of the town changed. So that's my answer. It probably went up 15%, and we added some more officers. And then part of that change is we could have allocated more in fiscal year 26.
Those are the only questions I had about the police department.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more. That public safety center. What is that? Where is that? Is there an address with that? What is the public safety center?
That's the rent for across the street for the police rental.
Oh, that's the rent. Okay, thank you.
Was there another hand up? I don't see one at the moment. So if not, we're going to move to the next section. Next, we'll go to general government.
What page?
That's going to be page 24.
Mayor, would you like me to share it?
Yes.
So just to outline the change from last night, where we talked about audit expense going up 15 grand for special project audits, confirming it's been made.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to raise my hand for that.
Councilmember McDonald.
I just had a question about that expenditure. Because we're saying if in the event something happens, if in the event something happens, wouldn't we just go to the general fund? If that were the case, why do we have to allocate funds for if we think it's going to happen? I'm just asking.
It seems like it's if it's will of the council to do so.
But the money in the general fund is there if in the event something happens across the board for any possible event or item that we want to add. So allocating an expenditure for something that we don't even know for sure we're going to need is like for anything that we're not sure if we know we're going to need. So then we start expending or creating line items for expenditures for possibilities or things that might happen, or just grab something out the sky and we're going to create a line item for it. I'm just trying to understand the whole purpose for just this expenditure and the possibility of continuing to create line items for expenditures that are not aligned strategically, and we're just saying we're doing it for whatever reason.
I see two hands up. I'm not sure who was first.
I was,
Council President Noble.
yes. I just want to state again that the budget is a legal document, and a general fund is not for just to go in it and get something because we think, and the purpose of budgeting is based on historical and any anticipated expenses. So this is, to me, something that may be anticipated but may not be used. And when the budget comes, the FY28, then you look at it again. So we have line items now that, did we use them all? No. Did we go back to them? No. We have office supplies all over the place. We have different things. So for me, the auditing should be there. And I looked at our expenditures. Last year, we had, I think it was 20 some thousand budgeted, but we went over that. So it's just, we have to follow the money. We have to make sure the money is where it is supposed to be for any and all purpose of this town and its residents.
Councilmember Brownson.
Yes. And as I remember that when last year I had some questions about expenditures where a lot of it, 4 and 5 expenditures in one day to the same vendor. The credit cards are used, have a limit on them, and then you make it to the limit, then you pay it down, then you pay it to the limit. So how much money is actually being spent on credit cards? So these things, in my opinion, is good financial legislative to know and to audit these things to make sure that whoever's using these credit cards, whoever's logging these expenses, that they are correct. Not that the processes might not be incorrect, but you might want to look at to have someone from the outside look at this, because we all wrapped up in it and it seems like everything is okay. But do we know? An audit of credit cards, expenses, processes from someone other than the person that's doing the annual audit that makes mistakes on it is a good idea. And I think it's a good expense to have. But I had another question about the general fund expenses as well. And one of them was this new line item 90037258. It wasn't there last year. And now this year you have $54,000 for that. And the explanation for it is just to repeat the topic. So can someone tell me in layman's language what that is?
Which line was that?
90037258.
I think Mr. Jackson can give us the summary of what that line is.
Yes, certainly. That's the that's the GIS 4stat project, which will update our website to provide the public with real-time code and public works information regarding street closures, potholes, tree information, as I said before, coding information, traffic stop location for police officers. This is the estimate from the vendor who's currently contracted with the state as an approximate startup cost to complete this project for Forest Heights. And that's pretty much it. That's a layman's term summary of that line.
Did we vote to have this line item? I mean, did it ever come across us that this is something that we wanted or needed or gonna have? Did it ever come before the council?
Well, it's proposed in the budget that was delivered to the council.
You're talking about right here. This is the proposal.
It's proposed
Okay.
as a line item in the budget.
Right, so this is how it is proposed to us by putting it on a line item.
And to add
Well,
to that,
just a moment, Mr. Frankenfield, just a moment. It's the proposal for the money to be set aside for it is here. The project itself and the other approvals come before council as legislation.
That kind of goes back to the putting the line item for the second audit. Almost the same concept.
Yes, I would agree. Mr. Frankenfield, you had something to add?
yeah, I was just going to add, then proper legislation, because of the amount of this line item, it's going to have to come before the council again at the procurement process. Here's our bid from this vendor. Funds are appropriated. Here's what they're offering. Here's the demo of the project, etc.
So when we pass the budget, we've already approved it.
But it hasn't met the procurement requirements.
Right, but when we pass the budget, I mean, we've already approved it.
We've approved the funding,
Right.
not the vendor.
Right.
So there's two steps in there.
Yeah.
Council President Noble.
Yes, so on that same note, so is GIS Digital Reporting Project the vendor, or is that just the project?
That's just the project.
Okay. And this is on a technical or technology, right? Using technology to communicate with everyone.
100%, yes.
Here's a way to add some additional context. Think of it this way. It's a dashboard that speaks to the status of different things in the town, whether it be streets, infrastructure, projects that are going on, traffic data, crime data, but then it also can map to some of the strategic priorities that we have. So it helps to be a place where people can go to see how we're doing financially and on our other values and things that we're working on.
Okay. And does this project also include those residents who can't access it? I mean, will there be another dashboard, like manual, that somebody can get this information, or are we going to use the newsletter to communicate that?
Yeah, it won't replace any of the existing communication tools that we have. It's to augment and to provide more options for people to get information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for general government? All right, hearing none, we'll go to the next section. Mr. Frankenfield, you got it displayed, so I'll let you scroll to the next section. I believe next section may be public safety, but since we've gone over that one, it'll be the one after. It's Public Works. Are there any questions for the Public Works section of the budget?
What page is Public Works?
37.
Thank you. Yes, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Brownson.
It's the Public Works subscriptions. There was nothing there last year, and now it's $14,000. What I'm looking at is the big jump in things that sticks out. That's increased by 100%, and it wasn't there in FY26. It's like, and I know that a lot of people add pork and fillers and stuff like that, so we can just spend money, and if we don't use it, we'll put it someplace else and just spend up all the money. And I still, in this entire budget, I don't see anything. You set aside $130,000 for street work, but there's nothing concrete to help to truly help these streets and sidewalks. And I know you can fill the budget with a lot of things. Everybody get a little bit of what they want. But to me, the residents the money is not being allocated correctly for the residents. But anyway, the subscriptions, I was questioning that.
Councilmember Brownson, I think you made a good point, which is we want to get to a place where we have more money set aside to do infrastructure projects, sidewalks, road repavements that will take care of what residents expect us to do, and I agree. Part of the large transfer we're moving over into reserves this year is helping us to have a large stack to pull from so we can get the projects done, not just patchwork, not just half of a street, but an entire street, sidewalks, an entire street repaved.
Well, you can do block by block.
And I think that what we should do for the subscriptions is, let's do this for 99097203 is we should find out what is incorporated into that line. Mr. Jackson, if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. What we did in this line, we previously in FY26, I believe, lumped everything into the general admin line that said network, IT, phones, etc. For FY27, we want to more accurately track what's being used by Public Works. So we just took that. We took the subscriptions specific from Public Works from that line in admin and just put it in the Public Works section.
But what is it? Subscription to what?
So there's iWorks, which is the project management subscription. There's Violytics, and then there's also this software called Key Cafe, which is a key auditing system for Public Works. Those are the three items that are in Public Works subscription.
Thank you, Council President Noble. Then I'll go to Councilmember McDonald.
Thank you. I did reach out to Mr. Jackson about the trash contract because I know prior, and he assured me that the mayor had reached out too. So because we have missed the deadline for renegotiating or placing a bid. So this amount, $354,000 for FY27, does that include the escalation or is that just the flat fee if we miss our date? I don't know. Is that
Todd can correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. I believe that's just the calculation of the fees in our contract and what we've been paying so far, with the addition of, I believe it's $4,300 that we added to this for the added bulk bulk shred day and community cleanup day.
Okay. And the other on the repairs in public works.
Well, Todd, you know, everything that's on your screen is on our screen as well. You're pulling up something for us to see.
Sorry to make you sick.
That's okay. So on public works, there fleet repairs FY26 we budgeted 8,000. You had the same thing for FY, I can't even see anymore, 27. But I see on the ledger that they've spent 11,000. So is 8,000 a reasonable number, because everything will be getting older? So will we need more than that, or I'm just that 8,000, since they're right now they're at 11,000, so they're like a couple of $1,000s old.
It's possible, and I'll let Todd add anything that he wants. I can see him chomping at the bit on this one. It's hard to get repair costs from the county. Very hard. They sparingly send these invoices to us, so we can't get an accurate account of how much we're spending on fleet repair. And so we use this as a guide, and it's possible we may have to adjust this line somewhere in the future. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, they don't have a chart for this costs this and this is that, or it's just you just build whatever.
Yeah, we're just, and they also combine it with the police department and all other vehicles, and we have to manually separate what belongs to public works and what belongs to the police. It's just not a good system.
Yeah. So, I mean, even for budgeting purposes, because it all comes together, is it reasonable to just have fleet repairs under admin or somewhere else? That's a question.
I know our system is clunky and it's very manual. Mr. Jackson goes through the bill and circles it and says, this is public works and this is police. I prefer to have it split. I think our current process is best because we want to capture the true police cost for the state aid grant reporting, for the speed cameras. So our process is well designed, even if it does take a couple extra steps.
All right.
On your point, yeah, I think you're right. We probably could have given it a little more appropriation, but I think we're close enough in our estimates. And, if something significant happens, we'll come back with a budget revision for repairs.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brownson, I'm going to come to you in a moment. I just want to address the trash thing, Council President. I remember the year that we had to increase the trash contract after we had already approved the budget. And so I've reached out, had Mr. Jackson to look at all the contracts that we currently have, see which ones were up for renewal or expiration. That latest amount was, they gave us a multi-year price in the contract. So in the last year, this is, well, minus the 4,300, that was the amount, was maybe roughly 348,000 or something, whereabouts, that we were going to pay them in the final year of the trash contract. But it is, and it's going to be important for us to start the bidding process in the fall, because we need to have the budget numbers prepared by the early part of 2027. Even though we're in a fiscal year cycle, we've got to get prepared about 6 months prior, so we have numbers in place for next year's budget planning. And we've already done the bidding process.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Brownson.
Yes, I want to go back to the fleet repair questions and some of the things where you just put the same thing as last year in the FY27 draft. And Council President Noble said she was looking at something probably the expense report for the third quarter. It goes back, I listened to the tape, it goes back to what Councilman Kennedy said last night. if you know what the expenses are through the third quarter, which probably 11,000, I think she said, then you can do definitely a more accurate estimate for FY27 instead of taking just the amount for FY26. You got third quarter data to use to get a more accurate forecast for FY27. So if we did have that column there for expenses through the third quarter, that could give us a better idea of why these numbers are what they are.
Question, Mr. Frankenfield, how does the third quarter line up with the proposal date of delivering the budget?
So third quarter ends in March.
Okay.
We probably started our heavy lift on the budget at the end of March. And it's not about, having the data. Yeah, I agree. We probably got a late bill, and that's what pushed the bill over. We probably used December's actuals for our estimates for the fiscal year, and then we got a late bill and the line went over. It's a tiny line, meaning it's such a small percentage of the total. We're gonna miss on some of these things. So, best case scenario, we're talking about a $5,000 change. It's 1% of this budget amount. There'll be other budgets that are under. It's small potatoes, and our job to get the total appropriation right is what I'm saying.
Right, but the small potatoes on this line item, but who knows what they are on the rest? If we had something to look at, we can see whether they are small potatoes. I mean, give us the information, even though it may be small potatoes, let us see.
Well, Councilmember Bronson, I'm going to remind you, we give you the information every month by
Right,
email.
that's what I'm saying. And when you're doing the forecast, if you just put that column there, and then we can compare. Yeah, you do give it to us and we look at it. That's what I'm saying. Why can't it be on this budget forecast for FY27 as a column?
Well,
it can be a consideration. It can be a consideration, and thank you for making the point. Any other question on line items for Public Works? Okay, we can move to the next section. We have now youth and community outreach. Are there any? Well, that's a question. Which page?
40.
Council President Noble.
Yes, I had a question on the senior exercise program. Went from 3,000 to 6,200. I'm trying to look on this chart here. That's not. Okay. What was the reason for the jump? Well, from May expenses, I see we've spent $5,800. So that may be the reason, right?
Yeah.
So, because I'm looking at the May report, And also under Harvest Fest, does this include Haunted House and all those other things? Or is this the month of October? Is that included in it, or it's not included in it? Or I'm trying to figure out what is Harvest Fest.
It includes the haunted house and the trunk or treat as well.
Okay. And I think that's it for me. Thanks.
Councilmember Brownson.
Yes, my question is, what is community events? I thought all these things listed here are community events. What's different about this community event line item?
There are some events that are not proposed at the beginning of the year and some that come up at council discretion. So this line covers other miscellaneous events.
Okay, and then I still go back to the senior mowing, $12,000 to mow the grass from July 1st through, say, October. It's probably September the last time you mow grass. How are you going to spend that money in 3 months? And then what about snow removal? Or what about a senior that has an emergency where they need a little help from the town other than their yard? I mean, just putting money for mowing for seniors just to me seems so limited and so targeted and can't even be used. And you don't even know how we're going to administer that program. If you're going to do a senior mowing program, it should be a contract to someone. But then you still got the snow removal. If somebody is, in dire strait and need $500 as a senior emergency, to me, that would be more than, so what are we going to, I'm trying to figure out, why are we singling out one senior emergency versus other senior emergencies?
Well, I would open it up to one of the council members who proposed, the council members that proposed this line. That'd be Council President or Councilmember Kennedy. And Councilmember Kennedy, I saw your hand up as well.
I mean, we could change to senior services as opposed to senior mowing. And we can copy District 8's program the way they, have residents notify them or apply for it so that we have a record of what's needed.
That's why I said by the time we go through all that, the mowing season would be over. That's why I'm saying it just shouldn't be limited to mowing if you're going to do senior emergency services, something like that.
In the meeting, this proposal came up. We discussed setting the money aside to do the program. However, we were going to have the town administrator outline a process for selecting a vendor and administering the project so that when it happens, it can be done well. We also anticipated that the way the fiscal year works, it runs in the middle of summer. So we'll have May and June of next year that would be covered by this year, by this FY27 budget as well. Councilmember Kennedy.
We anticipated being able to put monies aside to help the seniors now. The ones that I guess still require the services. I know some of them have actually already found somebody to, I guess, cut it temporarily. So the grass cutting season is probably going to go into, definitely July, maybe even August. With this weather, who knows? It might even go into September. That's one part of it. The other thing that I've mentioned numerous times over the years is I see, the youth and community outreach section is broken down. I know somebody mentioned the haunted house, but it still does not have I guess, a line item. So is that money's going to be split with the Harvest Festival? So is that like the three Harvest Festival, Trunk or Treat, and haunted house?
It's two. Is there, to my knowledge, is there a separate category for what is the other one? Is the police department's budget included in this line item, Mr. Jackson?
No.
You're looking for trunk or treat?
Right.
Yes.
This should be Harvest Fest and haunted house.
Okay. Can we I mean, it's not as long as it's understood that the haunted house has some of this funding, then I'm fine with it. But if not, then I'd like to, see it say Harvest Fest / haunted house.
No, it does. I just gave it one name.
Okay. All right, that's fine. And that way, whoever spearheads the haunted house, there'll be some funding in there to be able to do, some things. So thank you.
Okay. If those are all the questions, we'll move to the next section.
Mayor,
We
do you
have,
mind taking over sharing? I'm going to call in from my phone.
okay. Give me just a moment.
I can share if you like, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Lily,
Councilmember McDonald.
this was just about the senior services, if we're going to change it from mowing to services. And this would be a line item that would be coming from where? Is that coming from the general fund? Yes.
As it exists in the budget, we're mentioning if there's a proposal to add or change a line.
Yes. Because there are opportunities. I think we can just talk about it more offline, but there are opportunities that perhaps would bring funding for bring resources, I'm sorry, to the town for senior services. So I'm still, like I said at the last meeting, the $12,000 is that's like chump change when it comes to these mowing services and things of that nature. So I'm hoping that we do have a well thought out plan so that this doesn't go awry. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for the debt service and restricted funding? Council President Noble.
Yes, under the restricted funding, the salary for the youth coordinator, the FY26 budget and the FY27 draft, they're the same. However, when I look at the salaries by departments, it has the youth coordinator FY26 50,000 and FY27 51,000. So I guess the question is this the same youth coordinator funding in two places or not?
Mayor, I can answer that. Yeah, and the disconnect there, Council President Noble, is for the budget line, not the salary schedule, but the actual budget. We include the cost of the fringe benefits, the youth coordinator, FICA, short-term disability, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the disconnect between the two.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember McDonald.
I just had a quick question. Do we still have a youth coordinator? Because I've not seen any representation or reports from the youth coordinator. Do we still have one? Is that still someone we're relying on for youth services in the town? Mayor Lilly?
Yes, we do. Okay, if there are no questions for this section, we'll go to the next.
Actually, Mayor.
Councilmember Kennedy.
So just to piggyback on the youth coordinator, are we funding this position now? Because I believe originally it was funded by the county, but that was a finite amount. So are they refreshing the monies for the youth coordinator, or is that something we're going to be picking up now?
That's county funded. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Frankenfield, say that one more time.
That whole section of the budget, the youth coordinator and the PAL camps, those are county funded. They're not funded from the general fund.
So I'm assuming there is still funding in there for one more year, because the way I understood it, half of it went to his salary and half of it went to whatever projects that he wanted to spearhead.
Well, in the budget here, the salary's there, and then the projects that are lined out are the summer and spring PAL camp. Is that correct?
That's correct. And Mayor, can you chime in? I believe the $125,000 from the county, from the casino, is legislatively guaranteed, and that's a continuous funding stream, but I'm not sure of the specifics of that.
There is a part of it that is the local impact grant that's state legislated. That's correct.
So did you bring that up to say that's funding the PAL program or the youth coordinator?
That's to you, Mr. Frankenfield.
Yeah, it's funding all three. The total of those three lines get to the $125,000 that the county gives us on an annual basis.
Okay, I'm being thrown a little bit because on one hand somebody is saying county, and then I heard somebody say it was state.
Yeah, maybe the mayor can make the distinction. The town gets 120 from the state and 125 from the county for being in the casino impact zone.
Thank you.
Okay. The title of this section, Capital Improvement Projects. Councilmember Brownson.
Yes, I had a question about the bond bill again, and the I noticed one he said was for the police center, that $350,000 is for the public safety center. So over there, back then he said, I asked about the public safety expense. He said it's for the rent of where they are. But they got $350,000 for the public safety center, which can't be over there where they're renting. So I'm still trying to figure out what does that $350,000 on the bond bill 23 represent? That's one question. And then with the Federal HUD Blackhawk 9015.1 in FY76, you got 756,000. And then you got for FY27, 21,000. And it was originally $850,000. And I think we paid like $300 and some $1,000 for the survey or the study. So I'm trying to figure out how you come about with these. And then you got 93,000 for admin in FY26 and FY27. So I'm trying to figure out, what does these numbers represent?
For the bond bills, I'll speak to and then I'll toss to Mr. Frankenfield. Bond bills were secured by the state. It's funding they set aside in the annual budget for the state for a project that is specific to the town's application. And the legislators, either the state senator or delegate, advocates for those funds to be approved. They are very specific and limited in what they can be used for. They can be used for demolition or improvement, purchase, acquisition of land, and other costs associated with a site for public safety center. So it is different from the rent that's being paid out of tax revenue and town funds for the police suite that the police department is in now. These funds were secured based on the property that the town owns at 5529 Livingston Road.
Okay.
Mr. Frankenfield, did you have any input on the other, or Mr. Jackson, on the other lines there related to the HUD Blackhawk project?
I wanted to defer to Mr. Frankenfield regarding his numbering for those two lines.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Jackson. So the 21,000 as part of the Fed HUD Blackhawk project, they allow us, the town, to recover indirect costs. So 21,000 is the estimate that my firm will bill for the grant in fiscal year 27. We use that to offset some of our other costs. So it's either we'll bill that line or the general fund line. The second line, let me see. I'm sorry. The second line is the salary for the project manager, including benefits. And yes, there is more funding available for this grant, but after we contracted for, I'm going to call it the design phase, we're going to hold. And then once we, I guess, get answers from the project designer and decide on implementation, then we'll allocate an additional appropriation once we have that number. So yes, there's money on that grant. Yes, we can up it, but we'll do it later in the year when we have more specific numbers for the implementation of the project.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out why do you keep the 93,154? If you're holding, waiting on whoever the contractor doing the work right now, why are you holding 93 versus the other money? Why are you allocating the 93 versus the other money for FY 27?
The 93 is for the staff that'll serve in that role.
So we don't have a staff in that role now.
We do have a staff person in the role now.
So that's then since the next, so it's in the role now and they're carrying it over to carrying that staff position over to FY27.
Well, what I'll say is this: we have an individual there. If we're going to get into an individual discussion, we'll need to go in closed session.
I'm talking about positions, not you have have someone there now, and then you're going to carry that position over to FY27 according to this budget book. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Frankenfield?
I'll ask the mayor or Mr. Jackson to answer that question.
Well, it's listed there.
So I believe the best way to answer this is that there will be a staff member managing this project, and this would be the salary and other administrative costs. So I think Mr. Frankenfield is showing wherever we go in 2027, this will be reserved for that staff member.
Okay, so if there's not a staff member assigned to this, then there will be a position assigned to this, which should be back up there when you talk about the staff, of how many staff the town has. And it seems as
So,
though if you
what
had,
I'm reading,
go ahead.
Councilmember Brownson, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to provide get a clarifying question answered based on this. So we've got the Blackhawk, the first 9015.1 looks like it's directed to funding that is working directly on the project, and it looks like the next one is administrative costs. So is it correct to say that administrative costs, which could include salaries, what the second line is related to?
He
Or is
said
it
for the
solely
project
salary?
manager.
It's solely salary.
It's salary and benefits, Mayor.
Salary and fringe. Oh, proceed, Councilmember Brownson.
Yeah, so if that's a position, then that should be back there up front there where the positions are.
And to answer that question, it is listed. I think the new title is Strategic Planning Strategist, something along those lines.
Well, then the amounts are not the same.
That's correct.
Do we need to go into closed session to discuss this?
We're talking about the budget. We're not talking about anything confidential. We're gonna have to discuss this in open session when we have the budget hearing for the public. So if you
To
say
answer Councilmember Kennedy's question, yes. And after we get through if there's another section after we get through, we can do that if need be.
And my other question with reference to that is, why are we waiting to at the next part of the year, knowing that we already allocated 300-some thousand for the Blackhawk thing, for the contractor or whomever they are, so you know what's left? Why can't that money be in the FY27 draft?
And so, Councilmember Bronson, to clarify, 327,000 is the amount we drew down. If you look at the May financials, I don't have them in front of me, but we haven't spent all of that. So it's a reimbursement grant. We're projecting that we're going to have grant funds that carry over from fiscal year 26 to fiscal year 27 in hand, meaning the feds have paid us. We have the cash in the bank to work on the project. So we don't have any concrete, hey, we have a contract for this much to implement this project. Yes, 100%, we can allocate the rest of the project, but we don't have any specifics yet. And it kind of goes back to that same question about the GIS, where we're going to have to do a procurement exercise, and we can do the budget exercise at the same time. We put our construction contracts out to bid. Here's the 3 proposals. We're going with the lowest bid. We're going to adjust the budget at that time. That's the process flow we're taking with this. You're right. We can allocate all of the remaining grant dollars to next fiscal year, but we don't have a use for it yet. So our plan was just to allocate it once we figured out how much and who was going to do the project.
I will go to Council Member, who was it, Kennedy or Council President Noble, who had hand up first.
Council Member Kennedy can go.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Can I make a suggestion? We have multiple grants, bonds, things that we've not used completely. Since we like doing multiple books and sections, I think it would be helpful if we have any of the outstanding grants on another page or two and put down basically the history of it. If, you know, let's say it was $1 million, we got it in 2023. We spent $273,522.15, you know, so that way we have a actually working timeline of when we got it, when it's due to expire, and what has been used out of it so far. That way it's easier to follow instead of you having to keep repeating the same thing.
Mr. Jackson, as part of that dashboard that can track projects in the town, is that something we can implement where it shows like historical costs? Or, different question, is there a way we can show the timeline of a project, including spending, where people can access it so we can get a live look at where we are and also in time, over time?
Yes, we can make it, we can tailor it however we want it. The cost may be slightly different, but the short answer is yes.
All right. And one last question. The 73154 Blackhawk admin, is that a full-time position?
The 93154.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the part where you say you need to go in closed session,
Okay.
when I start asking questions about it.
All right. If there are no further questions here, we'll go to the next section.
I had a question, Mayor.
Oh, my apologies, Council President.
That's okay. On the annexation study, have we solicited any contractors or vendors for this? Because we had it in FY 26 and we have it again, but have we done any outreach? Or do we have someone?
So previously, I believe the vendor who's done all of our annexations is CPJ.
Okay.
We've started reaching out to property owners for an annexation agreement, so that's where we are so far. We haven't done anything with the vendor yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember McDonald.
Yes, since we're on annexation stuff, is there any consideration for someone talking to us about the or helping us to better understand the Harbor View project. Would that be something included in this, Mayor? Or could be included in this?
This category is pretty specific to bringing in new areas of the town into our municipal bounds, so it wouldn't be this line. However, we kept the line item in the budget this year for strategic planning, and we believe through strategic planning and also through the growth planning, which we applied for through the county, that we could answer some of those questions, and that probably is a good place for that.
Okay, can we keep that on the radar, TA? Because I'm just thinking that because of the actions that were taken prior to a lot of us coming on, that it would just be helpful in getting some questions answered from not only the council, but from the residents as well. Thank you.
Yeah, both of those processes will incorporate extensive resident engagement, input, feedback. Okay, we're now in transfers to the FY budget, FY27 budget. Are there any questions for this section? Councilmember Brownson.
Yes, this section goes back to the questions I had from the first section where it said fund balance reserve analysis, and I think it ties back into this one. And in that statement, it says FY27 reserves are projected to further increase to approximately 7 months, reflecting continued financial stability. And my question is that, does all this surplus money and stuff, is that more stop sign camera and red light camera and speed camera funds? That's my question. Because I look back and I see that the taxes from residents not going up. And so I'm trying to figure out where all this money and carryover and all that stuff is coming from. Mr. Frankenfield.
Yes, so in majority, the fines section of the revenue for the town has performed exceedingly well in fiscal year 26. So yes, the rest of our revenues are about flat or comparable to prior years. The windfall that we're seeing in fiscal year 26, which carries into fiscal year 27, is directly related to all the fine revenue.
So my other question is, and I know we projecting this money for FY27 and we adding all these things. Everybody throwing in their, pork projects. And it's off the back of the speed camera money, which is supposed to be used for speed camera, red light, and stop sign, which is supposed to be used for public safety. And public safety does include streets and sidewalks. And I still don't see any money in this budget from the speed camera, red light camera, stop sign camera allocated for sidewalks, street repair. I know they allocated $130,000 for that, and most of it included, painting the streets and all that stuff like that. But that's not, to me, a thing I go back to when I was at the conference this year, and the controller, Controller Lerner, said that the one thing that the residents and the citizen look for in their town is clean streets, sidewalks, and potholes. And if you fix those things, you don't have complaints and stuff from the residents. They don't question all this stuff. And I still don't see anything in there I still go back to Seneca. There's a sinkhole there. There's the street is tore up and nothing is in here addressing that. And it's coming, all this money is coming from red light, not all of it, but a good portion, red light, stop sign camera, and speed camera funds. And it's not being used for it could be used for public safety.
Councilmember Brownson, I agree vehemently with this, most of what you said. I agree we need to comprehensively make improvements to streets that are in poor condition and to map out where we want to add sidewalks that will have the most benefit for the town. Where probably yourself and even myself and staff members are experiencing some frustrations that we want to plan it out so we do it equitably and so that we are able to also conservatively make sure that if FY27 performs a little less well, that we can continue the projects and can complete them. One piece that's going to allow us to do this is our strategic planning process. We'll be able to evaluate as a town what our priorities are, where the areas are we think we need to make the improvements the soonest, and where some areas may not be as high priority. So we're looking forward to, in the second half of this year, calendar year, finishing some of that up. Some of the technologies in public works, the subscriptions will help us to have data and metrics on where those improvements need to go. And I understand, as one of the neighbors, and I know you do for your side and the area you live in, that we want it to be happening now, sooner than later.
But I hear you. But if you look at the budget, you're talking fiscal year 27, which is going to be the end of next year. Still nothing is being done. You're still planning.
Well,
strategic planning is planning, but still nothing being done.
Once we have an idea of what we're going to be doing and where, we are allowed to amend this budget by resolution. And I think that we should look, that we may have to do that. But if we were to just say from right now, what we're going to move and where, it would be a guess.
Put aside some money for it is what I'm saying. The budget, you put aside money for all your little pet projects or whatever you feel, the community want, mowing and haunted house and harvest fest and Christmas lighting. That's nice, good, but they want street repair and trash removal and sidewalks. Those things that the community events are temporary.
And don't forget the community garden too.
And the community garden, temporary stuff, yes. And that was decreased, by the way. And so that's not it. And I know we want to do the right thing, but we want to do the thing right. That's a quote from someone. We want to do the right thing, but we want to do the thing right. And right now we're not doing the thing right.
I would characterize
in this budget. In this budget.
I would say we need to do the right things and we will do them the right way. I put an and there instead of a but. And we have started the Street Reserve Fund. It has $150,000, which is not a ton of money, but it's a start, and we expect to move more funds there. The other thing that we could probably address here is the funds coming in for the stop signs. They're not dedicated to any project or any initiative that the town has. And I know there's a lot of controversy about those stop signs. However, we don't know what the funding will be, but that's a potential the dollar amount collected from those funds, as long as we have the approval, I think would be a great option for moving funds into some of the projects once we have them scoped out and we have them prioritized. Specifically things like sidewalks, since it's directly related to pedestrian safety and people are crossing at crosswalks that don't have sidewalks on a lot of our main roads in and out of the town. Council President Noble.
Like we increased by almost $3 million. And where's it going?
Council President Noble.
Thank you. I think our efforts should always be the right efforts. So keeping that in mind, I know on the west side, we only have a few streets with sidewalks, and on the east side, a lot of sidewalks over there. That's just FYI. But I just had a question on a vehicle reserve because I see we didn't budget anything for the vehicle reserve. So are we under the impression that we're not going to have to replace any vehicles? I don't know. Is that Mr. Jackson, I guess?
Well, I believe we initially went that route. I will let the mayor pick it up from here. I believe we wanted to reduce the debt first. Our fleet is in relatively good shape. And it's possible we can wait another year to do this, or we can do a mid-year amendment if we need to.
Yeah, Mr. Jackson's correct. In conversation with the treasurer, this is probably something the comptroller might support as well, being she looks at numbers and the potential to reduce debt. Paying down debt that has higher interest rates is the most cost-effective way to use that funding, as opposed to having cash on the side until it is used one day. And there was something else that somebody said. Oh, Council President Noble, about the sidewalks. Yeah, on the east side of town, the homes that are built, that are duplexes that are connected on one side, they had the sidewalks, it appears, added at the time they were built because they're a little closer together. However, we really hope we can use that biolytics tool to get an idea of where we can implement sidewalks around the town where needed. Council President.
Yes. Another question, when you said the high interest rate, where is the credit card? I mean, what rate are we paying on the credit card? And is that showing up in any one of these line items? Because would that not be the interest alone will be some kind of charge?
We pay the credit card twice a month, pay it in full. So we don't accrue interest.
Oh, so no interest. Okay. Thank you. But should it show in the budget or no?
No.
Okay, thank you.
One of the other considerations with this particular section as well is WSSC is doing a lot of replacement of pipe and sewer lines on the west side of town. And we want to make sure the money we do spend on projects is going to be well spent. There's some roadway they'll have to repair before they finish that project. However, there is something we can do in the medium term, which is areas that have significant potholes or damage to the roadway. We can patch them, or we can address some of the most problematic areas on like a Seneca Drive in North Huron and some of the other streets that connect to those. So that's something that we're going to be looking at, and thankfully the street reserve has some funds set aside for us to do quick action, quick response improvements to alleviate some of the pain while we're having that project completed, after which we can do a much larger scale improvement that is designed to last for a long time, while, to the council member's point, doing the right thing in the right way.
Yeah, because Seneca is truly just a disaster. So even if we just knew when WSSC was coming back to try to do something, or what can we do in the interim? Because driving during the day is one thing, but at night you can't see all of these holes and different, I think the town takes on more liability when it doesn't address things like that.
And Mr. Jackson is talking to WSSC to get an updated, more specific schedule of when we can expect for certain things to be done, when they can start repatching in certain, or even repaving in certain areas. So we hope to hear something back from them in the coming weeks on that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brownson.
Yeah, I want to go back to the question that Paula asked about the credit cards. And Mr. Frankenfield said that they pay the bill every twice a month. So if I have a credit card for $5,000 and it comes in and you pay it back down to zero, then I got $5,000 more for the first of the month again. Is that so? If you pay it every month in 12 months, that means I can spend $60,000 on my credit card.
Yeah.
Is that somewhere in the budget where we allocated for that?
So it's the expenses, what we spend on the credit card, end up in their respective lines. So those are directly budgeted for. There's no budget line where we say credit card expense. We say office supplies, subscriptions, etc., and the collection of all the things that get bought on the credit card.
Interesting. Thank you.
Okay, does that conclude questions in this section? Let's go back to that section. Mr. Frankenfield, is there any area where conservatively we can move more funds into street reserve?
Yeah, I mean, Mayor, I've told you my thoughts. I don't know that I've spoken to the group directly about, the two reserve funds. And what I'm referring to is the 13-44197. That essentially is our long-term savings account. It speaks to our liquidity. The design of this is we have 3 months of operating expenses. Operating expenses are our expenses, less our grants, less our capital outlays. What it costs us on a recurring basis to run the town, pay the people, pay the vendors, keep everything rolling. We're putting 6 months in the bank in this budget. 6 months is a very hefty nest egg. We could argue that we can live on 5 months. We can live on 4 months. If we get below 3 months, I'll start pushing back and say, hey, let's consider our cash balances. We're running a little bit too thin. Our budget's too big. But I say all that to say is at 6 months, we have a lot of flexibility. So meaning we could take $350,000 out of one of the reserve funds and put it into streets. And then instead of having 6 months of reserves, we have 4.5. And then we work to replenish it until the next project comes in. So I hope I answered your question. We have flexibility because of our fund balance at this point in time for those large capital outlays.
Okay, and so the amounts we see set aside are to maintain a certain number of months of reserves. That's for several reasons. In the event that there's a downturn in the economy, which is always possible, in the event that there's an emergency, which is always possible. And so that would be one reason why we've got those numbers there, because it helps the town to be prepared for things that don't go as well as planned, and to save us from the immediate economic or financial shock of that.
Exactly. And to take that a step further, if the camera revenue turns off, then we have 6 months to make our decisions, adjust our spend levels to our new normal. It buys us time to adjust the town spend with this amount of savings.
Do we need to create a line or some kind of place to document the funds that come in from stop sign monitoring?
We have it in our regular monthly reporting. So I can pull a report of it, whatever we collected year to date.
Okay, I'll go to Council President.
Thank you. I know we have the money to pay for staff services and things of that nature, but also keeping in mind what Councilwoman Brownson said, we need to seriously concentrate on the infrastructure, getting up. How much does it cost to repair this street? What street is in dire need that needs immediate attention? How much does it cost? How soon can we do that? Because the residents are looking for the plan. What is the plan to do this work? And even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, but maybe it happens in next year, but we have to plan it out. We have to strategically know how much does it cost. We know things are going to go up. Again, we don't know what the economy is going to bring, what the federal government, the red light camera could just be cut off, like in the District of Columbia. So there's no funding for that. So we have to try to shift to a creative place to still create funding, but where do we get it from other than these other places? So I don't know if the strategic planning committee is looking at that, but just have to be more strategic about what do we do to preserve this town and its streets and its houses. Its houses. We don't want these streets, and this water in the town is ridiculous. So we need to get something for the resident. Thank you. For their tax dollars.
Agreed. We have a draft plan, but based on some of the activities happening now, we think it needs some updates. But we plan to bring that in the second half of the year for council to consideration so we can get moving on actually implementing.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kennedy.
So I definitely agree. Infrastructure is high on the list. And it is something that I'm sure every elected official has had their neighbors, residents, inquire about it. The water issue is definitely a big issue also. But if anyone remembers, I'm drawing a blank. Is it Iroquois, the top of Iroquois, where they had huge, heavy flooding, where the rain and water overcame the top curb and basically ended up flooding the front and back of the yards of probably at least the 4 or 5 residents that were at the top. But instead of paying to fix the entire street, we ended up allocating funding to do new curbs. And the curb was able to do their job again, because over the years, the streets were just overlaid. So the curbs became shorter and shorter, so they weren't able to do what they were intended to do properly. So, part of the water issue, we can look at getting some estimates from companies to come and give us estimates for new curbage, and that should hopefully fix a lot of the water issues. I mean, some of them obviously, the roads on the side where the circle is, they used to have culverts in between the backyards, and over the years it either got filled in intentionally, unintentionally taken up, but they are no longer there to function to help channel the water down behind the houses. So curbs could be a huge impact, FYI.
Is it the behind like houses on North Huron?
North Huron has always been an interesting street, regardless of how many years back you go. I think from what I remember over the years, North Huron is one of the streets that would probably require basically entire infrastructure, because all of the streets pretty much that's at the lower end. So most of the streets on that side are hills. So everything's going to come down the hill, obviously with gravity. So that, may require us getting a structural engineer or somebody that's specializes in infrastructure and streets and telling us what to do with that. But I'm almost positive we actually had, I don't know if we got a report or we got a suggestion back in the day.
Okay. So before we move from this section, do we want to increase the street reserve? We're at 6 months of reserves, which is it's a goal that we've hit that helps us to endure uncertain times, which we undoubtedly are in. But I'm just curious if there's any comment on that. Council President.
Yes, I would like to see the street reserve increase. I mean, if it's taking 1 month of the operating reserve fund, putting it there, just to have it there, because later on, if we can amend it, put it back. I mean, that's what these amendments come to us for, right? So I think it's better to anticipate, plan for, if we take 1 month out of the 6-month reserve. Since this is something new, and I appreciate the effort in trying to reserve, but at the same time, we can't reserve if we still have things we need to do.
Well, it sounds like we can do both. Councilmember Brownson.
Yeah, I was mentioning that the first page of the budget book says that in FY27, reserves are projected to further increase to approximately 7 months, reflecting continued financial stability. So right in FY26, it was 6.9 in reserve, and in FY27, it's projected to be 7 months. So it seems feasible to take a month and a half of reserves and put into street repair. I think 5 months is a good time enough time to make adjustments if the unforeseen happens.
Mr. Frankenfield, what might an additional month of reserve transferred into the street reserve calculate to?
It's about 450 grand. So you get to 600 in the street reserve.
Okay. I support that, especially if we project it to be over 6 months with the way the budget is planned out. And we know there's some additional funding that we'll need to amend to bring in once we have a more solid understanding of what the numbers look like. Councilmember Brownson.
This all these months of reserve remind me in the old adage that you save for retirement, we save for retirement, we save for retirement, And the day you retire, you die.
So you save for the streets and save for the streets, and you don't get them done.
Do the right thing, but do the thing right.
Mayor Lily, may I? I think
Councilmember,
I'm reiterating something that you brought up earlier in terms of strategic planning. Once we start really looking into how we're spending money, how it aligns strategically, and those projects that we know are ones that would bring a what I want to say, it would bring a comfort and a support to the residents of the town, you know, is why I'm so excited about the committee and what they're doing to make sure that not only are these just conversations, but that they will be items that we could look at from a lens that will give us some outcomes that would benefit the community and the town. So I'm looking forward to the strategic planning committee and what it is that they're doing and working on, and how that's going to benefit overall.
yes, we want to see action, right? We want to see streets getting repaved. We want to see the results delivered, the change coming. People can experience the upgrades, the improvements. And I think transferring some additional funds into this new reserve is a great way for us to put pressure on ourselves as the elected body. We've set aside the funding. We've said this is a priority. We'll do the planning, we'll do the studies, we'll do the evaluation, and then we will get to work and get this done. So to community members that are watching, we're doing this not symbolically, but we're doing this so that we can take action on this. And to the staff members, we've got a draft plan, particularly those administration and public works. We've got a draft plan. I want to see that plan come to the council very soon for input. And from there, using the technologies we have, we can select where we're going to get started. That's what we owe the residents, and that's what we'll deliver. And a crucial component of this has been financial discipline. Financial discipline has allowed us to get to the place where we know what we have, and we have set aside funds for the unexpected, but now we're getting to a place where we can move funds that will show improvements that people need. Is this the last part of the budget? I think we've reached the final section, and we've also reached the 8 o'clock hour. Okay, well, I want to thank the council, the staff for your input, for the discussion, for the deliberation. I know that we don't have a ton of members of the public on the call that I can see now, but I know myself, I've talked to people in person, on the phone. I know you have as well. And my hope is that we brought together those concerns to shape this budget even further. At this point, we have made some changes, and they're positive ones. And so we look forward to now, I believe, as a group, scheduling another meeting where we have at least a week to advertise that the meeting will be coming. Residents can come and voice their input, and we can adopt a budget that we are proud of, that we have discussed, deliberated over, that reflects our values and our priorities for the upcoming year. Council President.
I just want to thank all of the everybody on this call, residents, to taking the time, and you, Mayor, taking the time to go through this, and Mr. Frankenfield to take in the comments. And we look forward to getting our updated budget book. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. And with that, we have a motion on the floor to adopt the budget, but based on our discussion here today, I'm going to move that we postpone the vote on the budget until a meeting that will happen in the future. We've got not many days left in the month of June. We can do this safely with some time to turn it around. Next Thursday is an option. That'll give us a day of rest before this shredding event that happens next Saturday, or the Saturday after this one coming up. What do we think about Thursday, June the 25th at the same
That's
time?
fine. That's good. That's fine.
I have a question, Melody.
That's good for me.
Good for me.
Councilmember McDonald.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get clarity. So are we putting out, when will the, I guess, book be updated where it would be available for everyone to review, including the public?
Let me ask Mr. Frankenfield, when is a reasonable timeline for that?
I think, Mayor, one question I want to just talk through with you.
Yes.
The street change. So we have that in fund balance, meaning we're putting it in savings for fiscal year 28, or we're going to pull it out and appropriate the street repairs in fiscal year 27 with a budget amendment. So my question is do we just want to include it in Public Works and then we're on the hook to do it in fiscal year 27 and we say, hey, we appropriated 600 grand for street repairs in fiscal year 27. We're still in the planning phase, but then it makes it a little more urgent, kind of in line with your, hey, we got to pull a plan together and we got to hold ourselves accountable to do it. So my question is, does it live in Public Works or does it live in the fund balance section where it currently is?
Well, these are funds we would want to use.
Okay.
But the thing is, interesting. This is a good question. We originally created the reserve to have it be a place where we put money over multiple fiscal years to build up to a balance when we, need to do a major project. So I think we should leave some funding in the reserve. Maybe we move this 400,000 to the Public Works line item. So that's money maybe we decide to be actionable on, and then the 150 maybe is something that stays there as we pad it in each fiscal year.
I got it. Thank you. Yeah, so I think I can do it tomorrow. If you want actuals, actuals are hard. It would probably be Monday, Tuesday of next week till I can change it if that's the will of the group. Just let me know. I'm saying tonight we got a couple comments. It'd be great if we could have actuals on where we are year to date. It takes a lot of formatting to do that. So we would need time to make those changes. If you want actuals, I can probably have it done by Tuesday. If we're just changing the format of the budget, I can do it tomorrow.
I'm curious, input from council on this particular question. Do we want to incorporate
I'm sorry, Mayor Lily.
Do we want to incorporate some actual changes, some changes based on actuals, or do we want to just make the changes we've notated and get the budget book back tomorrow?
If there are any significant actuals, that would be nice. But if not, just leave it as is and make the changes we suggested tonight. That's my comment.
Okay, looks like Councilmember McDonald concurs. Council President?
I agree. And the other question, Mayor, will this next Thursday, will it be virtual as well?
Yes.
Okay. And just for the next meeting, if we could make sure that there's a link somewhere, and we do have a resident who can show us how to do the hyperlink so people can just click on it without, going in. So maybe we could have a link for the Zoom. Thanks.
Okay. So I move that we postpone emergency ordinance number 02-26 until Thursday, June 25th. Is there a second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we postpone emergency ordinance number 02-26 to Thursday, June 25th. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Now I see some hands. I'm going to do a discussion after. Actually, it's been moved and seconded that we postpone emergency ordinance number 02-26 to June 25th discussion. And I see Mr. Jackson.
I'm not part of the discussion, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to confirm the time on Thursday.
Same time, 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bronson.
Yeah, and in redoing the budget book, there was that question about the positions for the HUD issue, the line item and staff member and the amount and all that stuff like that. So that is still open for correction or proposed correction.
Okay. Well, we can still do a closed session after this if need be. I think we can actually handle that by the version of the budget that gets out for our final approval. Councilmember McDonald.
Yes, I have a conflict. Thursday is really not a good day for me. So if we could do something sooner than 6 o'clock, that would be helpful because I have a hard commitment on Thursday.
Council, can you let us know if we can do this earlier? Staffing, is it feasible to do earlier on Thursday?
I'm available earlier.
5 o'clock?
I'm available.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes.
I know I don't get off work until 4:30. Most of the time I don't get home until 5-ish. I mean, I could join from my phone, so never mind. I could join earlier. I know Monday through Wednesday I'm busy, so Thursday would be the best day. So I could do earlier. My apologies.
Okay. Well, we can do 5 or we can do 5:30.
$5:30 is fine because the agenda is to just approve, right?
We'll
Are we
also
taking,
we'll have comment from the public that attends
yeah,
as well.
taking comment from the public as well, exactly.
Okay.
So I think 5:30 should be good too if that works. But yeah.
Is that going to be the quote unquote newest hearing?
Budget hearing, right. Budget hearing at 5:30.
A resolution 02-26.
Right.
I just want to make sure that
emergency ordinance 02.
that all the
I'm
idiosyncrasies are
sorry,
met.
yeah, urgent.
Right.
Yes, that'll be our public hearing and our opportunity to vote on the budget ordinance.
Okay, so this is the attorney. So this is going to be, are you going to have a public hearing and then a special meeting to vote on the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to have 2 separate notices. You're going to have the public hearing, the notice of public hearing, and then you're going to have the special meeting. So 2 notices.
For the
It sounds like you're advising us to give 2 notices, which we will do upon your advice.
Then we need to start at 5 o'clock.
And yeah, if that's the case, 5 o'clock, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can stop the public hearing once. Well, I mean, I don't know how many people are going to show up, but yeah, that's probably the better way to do it. is to have the special meeting, the public hearing, which, is done differently than the meeting, and then have the special meeting.
So public hearing at what, 5 o'clock?
And then special meeting at 5:30.
Mhm.
Well, you can do the public hearing at 5:30, and then do the special meeting at 6.
Mhm.
But McDonald can't attend.
So
I got it. Okay,
gonna
5 and 6, 5 and 5:30.
let's do that, 5 and 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Jackson, Ms. Chisholm, we're going to do public hearing at 5 o'clock, public meeting at 5:30.
Special meeting.
Special emergency meeting.
Okay. All right, so that was discussion on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the ayes have it. We have moved and postponed emergency ordinance number 02-26 until June 25th. We'll do a public hearing at 5 and a special emergency meeting at 5:30, virtually only. Do we still have a need for a closed session? Doesn't sound like it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 8:22. We thank you for your input, for your effort, and this meeting is adjourned. We'll see you Saturday, June 20th from 12 to 4 p.m. at the park space next to Henry Soul Cafe for the Market Series. And happy Juneteenth to everyone tomorrow as well.